Our next story, The Enchanted Head. Once upon a time, an old woman lived in a small cottage near the sea with her two daughters. They were very poor, and the girls seldom left the house, as they worked all day long making veils for the ladies to wear over their faces. And every morning, when the veils were finished, the other took them over the bridge and sold them in the city. Then she would buy food that they needed for the day and returned home to do her share of the veil making. One morning the old woman rose even earlier than usual and set off for the city with her wares. She was crossing the bridge when suddenly she knocked up against a human head, which she had never seen there before. The woman stared back in horror, but what was her surprise when the head spoke, exactly as if it had a body joined to it. "Take me with you, good mother," it said imploringly. "Take me with you back to your house." At the sound of these words, the poor woman nearly went mad with terror. Have that horrible thing always at home? Never, never! And she turned her back and ran as fast as she could, not knowing that the head was jumping, dancing, and rolling along. But as she reached her own door, it bounded in front of her and stopped in front of the fire, begging and praying to be allowed to stay. All that day there was no food in the house, and the veils had not been sold, and they had no money to buy anything with. So they all sat silent at their work, inwardly cursing the head which was the cause of their misfortunes. When evening came and there was no sign of supper, the head spoke, for the first time that day. "Good mother, does no one ever eat here? During all the hours I've spent in your house, not a creature has touched anything." "No," replied the old woman, "we're not eating anything." "And why not, good mother?" "Because we have no money to buy any food." "Is it your custom to never eat?" "No, for every morning I go into the city to sell my veils, and with a few shillings I get from them I buy all we want. Today I did not cross the bridge, so of course I had nothing for food." "Then I am the cause of your going hungry all day."
"Yes, you are," answered the old woman.
"Well, then, I will give you money and plenty of it, if you will only do as I tell you. In an hour, as the clock strikes 12, you must be on the bridge at the place where you met me. When you get there, call 'Ahmed' 3 times, as loud as you can. A negro will appear, and you must thank him. The head, your master, desires you to open the trunk, and to give me the green purse which you will find in it."
"Very well, my lord," said the old woman. "I will set off at once for the bridge."
Wrapping her veil around her, she went out. Midnight was striking as she reached the spot where she had met the head so many hours before.
"Ahmed! Ahmed! Ahmed!"
cried she, and immediately a huge negro, as tall as a giant, stood on the bridge before her. "What do you want?" asked he.
"The head, your master, desires you to open the trunk, and to give me the green purse which you will find in it."
"I will be back in a moment, good mother," said he, and 3 minutes later he returned with a purse full of sequins and put it in the woman's hand. No one can imagine the joy of their whole family at the sight of this wealth. A tiny, tumble-down cottage was rebuilt, and the girls had new dresses, and their mother ceased selling veils. It was such a new thing to them to have money to spend that they were not as careful as they might have been, and by there was not a single coin left in the purse. When this happened, their hearts sank within them, and their faces fell. "Have you spent all your fortune?" asked the head from its corner, when he saw how sad they looked. "Well, then go midnight, good mother, to the bridge, and call out Mohammed 3 times, as loud as you can.
A Negro will appear to answer, and you must tell him to open the trunk and to give you the red purse which you will find there."
The old woman did not need telling twice, but she set off at once for the bridge.
"Mohammed! Mohammed! Mohammed!"
she cried with all her might. In an instant, the Negro, still larger than the last, stood before her. "What do you want?" he asked.
"The head, your master, bids you to open the trunk and to give me the red purse which you will find in it."
"Very well, good mother, I will do it." And the moment after he had vanished, he reappeared with the purse in his hand. This time the money seemed so endless that the old woman built herself a new house and filled it with the most beautiful things that were to be found in the shops. Her daughters were always wrapped in veils that looked as if they were woven of sunbeams, and their dresses shone with precious stones. The neighbors wondered where all the sudden wealth had sprung from, but nobody knew about the head.
"Good mother," said the head one day, "this morning you are to go to the city and ask the Sultan to give me his daughter for a bride." "Do what?" asked the old woman in amazement. "How can I tell the Sultan that a head without a body wishes to become his son-in-law? They will think I am mad, and I shall be hooted from the place and stoned by children."
"Do as I bid," replied the head. "It is my will." The old woman was afraid to say any more, and putting on her richest clothes, started for the palace. The Sultan granted her an audience at once, and in a trembling voice she made her request. "Are you mad, old woman?" said the Sultan, staring at her.
"The wooer is powerful, O Sultan, and nothing is impossible for him."
"Is that true?"
"It is, O Sultan, I swear it," answered she.
"Then let him show his power by doing 3 things, and I will give him my daughter."
"Command, O gracious prince," said she.
"Do you see that hill in front of the palace?" asked the Sultan.
"I see it," answered she.
"Well, in 40 days the man who has sent you must make that hill vanish and plant a beautiful garden in its place. That is the first thing. Now go, and tell him what I say." So the old woman returned and told the head the Sultan's first condition.
"It is well,"
he replied, and said no more about it. For 39 days the head remained in its favorite corner. The old woman thought that the task set before it was beyond his powers, and that no more would be heard of the Sultan's daughter. But on the 39th evening, after her visit to the palace, the head suddenly spoke. "Good mother," he said, "you must go tonight to the bridge, where you will cry, 'Ali, Ali, Ali,' as loud as you can. A negro will appear before you, and you will tell him that he is to level the hill, and in place the most beautiful garden ever to be seen."
"I will go at once," answered she.
It did not take her long to reach the bridge where it led to the city, and she took up her position on the spot where she had first seen the head, and called loudly, "Ali, Ali, Ali!" In an instant the negro appeared before her, of such a huge size that the old woman was half frightened. But his voice was mild and gentle, and he said, "What is it that you want?"
"Your master bids you to level that hill that stands in front of the Sultan's palace, and in its place to make the most beautiful garden in the world."
"Tell my master he shall be obeyed," replied Ali. "It shall be done this moment." And the old woman went home and gave Ali's message to the head. Meanwhile, the Sultan in his palace, waiting for the 40th day should dawn, and wondering that not one spadeful of earth should have been dug out of the hill. "If that old woman has been playing me a trick," he thought, "I will hang her. I will put up a gallows tomorrow on the hill itself." But when tomorrow came, there was no hill, and when the Sultan opened his eyes, he could not imagine why the room was so much lighter than usual, and for what reason of the sweet smell of flowers that filled the air. Can there be a fire? He asked himself. The sun never came up at that window before. I must get up and see. So he rose and looked out, and underneath him flowers from every part of the world were blooming, and creepers of every color hung from chains from tree to tree. Then he remembered. "Well, certainly that old woman's son is a clever magician," said he. "I have never met anyone as clever as that, and I shall give him what to do next. Let me think. I know." And he sent for the old woman, who, by the orders of the head, was waiting below. "Your son has carried out my wishes very nicely," said he. "The garden is larger and better than any other king, but when I walk across it, I shall need some place to rest on the other side. In 40 days he must build me a palace, in which every room shall be filled with different furniture from a different country, and each more magnificent than the room that was ever seen." And having said this, he turned around and went away.
"Oh, he'll never be able to do that," thought she. "It is much more difficult than the hill."
And she walked home slowly, with her head bent. "Well, what am I to do next?" asked the head cheerfully, and the old woman told her story. "Dear me, is that all? Why, it's a child's play," answered the head, and troubled no more about the palace for 39 days, when he told the old woman to go to the bridge to call for his son. "What do you want, old woman?" asked the son, when he appeared, for he was not as polite as the others.
"Your master commands you to build the most magnificent palace that was ever seen," replied she, "and you are to place it in the borders of the new garden."
"He shall be obeyed," answered his son, and while the Sultan woke, he saw, in the distance, a palace built of soft blue marble, resting on slender pillars of pure gold.
"That old woman's son is certainly powerful,"
he cried. "What shall I bid him to do now?" And after thinking some time, he sent for the old woman, who was expecting the summons. "The garden is wonderful, and the palace is the finest in the world," he said. "So fine that my servants would cut a sorry figure in it. Let your son fill it with exactly 40 slaves, whose beauty shall be unequaled, all exactly like the other, and of the same height." This time the king thought he had invented something totally impossible, and was quite pleased with himself for his cleverness. 39 days passed, and at midnight on the night of the last, the old woman was standing on the bridge.
"Becca! Becca! Becca!"
And he appeared and inquired what she wanted.
"The head, your master, bids you find 40 slaves of unequaled beauty and of the same height, and place them in the Sultan's palace on the other side of the garden."
And when, on the morning of the 40th day, the Sultan went to the Blue Palace, he was received by the 40 slaves, and nearly lost his wits from surprise. "I will surely give my daughter to the old man's son," thought he. "If I were to search the world, I would never find a more powerful son-in-law." And when the old woman entered his presence, he informed her that he was ready to fulfill his promise, and she was bid her son appear in the palace that day. This command did not at all please the old woman, though, of course, she made no objections to the Sultan.
"Oh, it's gone far too well,"
she grumbled, and when she told her story to the head,
"But what are you supposed to... the Sultan will say when he sees his daughter's husband?"
"Never mind what he says. Put me on a silver dish and carry me to the palace." So it was done, though the old woman's heart beat as she had laid down the dish with the head upon it. At the sight before him, the king flew into a violent rage. "I will never marry my daughter to such a monster," he cried. But the princess placed her head gently on his arm. "You have given your word, my father. You cannot break it," she said. "But, my child, it is impossible for you to marry such a being. said the Sultan.
Yes, I will marry him. He had a beautiful head, and I love him already.
So the marriage was celebrated, and great feasts were held in the palace, though the people wept tears to think of the sad fate of their beloved princess. When the merrymaking was done, and the young couple was alone, the head suddenly disappeared, or rather, a body was added to it, and one of the handsomest young men that was ever seen stood before the princess.
A wicked fairy enchanted me at my birth, he said. For the rest of the world I must always be a head only. But for you, and only you, I'm a man like other men. And that is all I care about, said the princess.